My name's Bill Wilmot. I'm the head of school at Seacoast Charter School. I'm a teacher and a musician, and that's why I'm here at Seacoast Charter School. So what we're trying to do at Seacoast is make that level of engagement that an artist has when they're working on their own work carry over to a child's academic work as well. In a lot of states now they have these tests, the state tests, which are high-stakes tests, which basically means that you're not going to graduate from high school if you don't pass the test in 10th grade. So it's high stakes. There is nothing more high stakes than putting on a performance. That is the ultimate assessment, the ultimate measure of musical learning.
When you perform, it really forces you to tie up all the loose ends of a piece you're working on. So if you're just playing for yourself, you might get to the point where you're like, oh, that's pretty good. I'll move on to the next thing. But as soon as you know that you're going to be playing with other people, you're going to be in front of people, you know, like, okay, now I got to make this really good.
That's the assessment tool. You know, we try to do away with tests and put assessments like that, which are more natural in their outcomes. So that's why we do things like the winter concert. And it's a huge challenge for them to get up on the stage. But I've had many parents say to me that my child would never have gotten up on a stage, would never have you know, memorized lines of Shakespeare, would never have performed on a musical instrument before they came here. And that's all part of being a supportive community. If kids feel like they're allowed to make a mistake and learn from that mistake and recover from it, then it's a lot less painful when it happens.
Well, before the performance, I had quite a handful of students who have never played music in front of an audience before, and they did not want to do it. Do we have to do this? I said, it's mandatory. And one girl came up to me and she said, I get so nervous, I cry before a performance. She's like, I can't do it. I said, you can do it. I said, I get stage fright too, so I know what it's like. And that's why one of the best ways not to have stage fright is to be really well prepared. I said, just practice the songs over and over again. That she cried. Right after the performance, one of them, fourth grade boy, ran up and he said, when's the next performance?
In any kind of performance requires very intense focus. Because you know the music doesn't stop moving and you have to stay there with it. When you walk onto a stage, you have to be confident. It's all about body language, and they're very aware of it. And I think practice is the only way to build that.
What I chose for the winter concert was what we really worked the hardest on. So something like Hot Cross Buns, where the first and second grade didn't just do hot cross buns, they did two variations. They had a bass line, they had percussion. That took them a long time to learn, especially if 20 kids to get together and play basically what is three variations. And there was a fourth hidden there, but only a few people knew about it. A few students knew about it. So I did that. Then we did Old Joe Clark, which was one of their favorite songs to sing, and then they put their own movements to Old Joe Clark. And they were so proud of that. And I thought, you know what, this is just an example for the winter concert of what we've been working on for the last couple of months.
I think one thing that's special about the music program here is that we start seriously with them in first grade. The music is time measured out into beats. And whenever you're measuring something out like that, you develop a natural sense of number, and you have a sense of what's a half and what's a whole. I think we do a lot of movement work in music classes as well, dance kind of steps, and that makes that connection even more explicit. If you're taking a step of this distance for every beat, then you're connecting, time, space, and all of that goes into developing a number sense is absolutely crucial. And so that's where we see some of the deep connections between music and academics.
Where the theory part comes in as far as the charter school is involved is with the Orff method. Karl Orff was a German composer in the 1920s, was when he was doing most of his work. And he was actually working with a dance school. And he was watching the dancers, you know, and he realized that a lot of them had no real concept of where the beat in a song was and the rhythm, and the difference between beat and rhythm. And so he started to develop this whole method of training dancers to really understand where the beat was, really feel it, really understand the difference between a steady beat and a steady rhythm. So then he took that and he kind of expanded into teaching with kids. So with music, half of the battle is knowing where the beat is and the rhythm. And then everything else kind of falls on top of it. Like, that's really the skeleton of music, is it's the beat and the rhythm. So when they start seeing these rhythm patterns early, when they get onto an instrument, they're not so daunted by it. They're like, oh, that's a ta, that's a TT, or that's quarter note, that's an eighth note. So that's half the battle, right? Because once you get this to them, they can kind of move on to the next level. So, but the fact that they learned something like theme and variation at first and second grade, to me, is really important, because that's such a big part of so many different types of music. You know, you have your theme, which is just hot cross buns, and then we expand on that theme, but you can still hear hot cross buns in there. And it was actually Jack who said, it's a pattern. I said, that's exactly what it is. Music is about patterns, repeating patterns. And so once they understood the concept that it was a repeating pattern, the variations made a lot more sense to them. And then even when they got to the second one, which is even a little fancier, we still had the BAG of hot cross buns, but embedded in that, you know, or I should say surrounding it, was all the variations.
An important part of that process is taking everything the student says and everything the student does as work very seriously, because they're taking it seriously. We're expecting them to take it seriously. You know, if we would like to get to the point where the student is developing their own body of work, and the only way that they're going to be able to do that, and the only way that they're going to want to do that, is if we're taking their work seriously and responding to it as if it matters. So I think that aspect of the school is extreme. In 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, in every strand, in every subject, performed higher than the state average, equal to or higher than the state average. So we're doing very well on the state tests. Great. And, you know, I want to emphasize again that we take that as only one measure, and we think that the daily work of the students is a much more important measure of how they're learning. But it's good to have that comparison as a starting point. But to me, it's not how the students perform. It's how the students come away from the experience, feeling about it, and their sense of it. And Mary told me just the other day that she said the words, end of the year performance, and the room lit up, and they were all excited about being back on stage and performing.